we start making eye contact with individuals, they know we're talking to them. And what happens when somebody knows we're talking to them? What do you start doing? Listening. Listening, because they're just going, she's talking to me. Okay, and we begin to have individual conversations with these individuals. Now, I know I'm the only one talking. Okay? But we're having a conversation because you're responding to me with this and with that. I'm like, okay? So I'm getting that, and that gives me information, and I can go back. Now, we all know how to respond to nonverbal behavior. We all know how to do that, okay? We respond to people all day long to their nonverbal behavior. Let yourself do that, okay? So making eye contact is the first thing, because that's going to give us a little bit of confidence then to say, to acknowledge what's going on. We can take the next step and actually put some of that into verbiage, that we begin to get a little bit of a confused feeling from somebody or a confused look from somebody, and we can begin to say, let me explain that for you. Okay? I'm answering then the question that's on this juror's face. All right? And then they begin to say, oh, okay, she understands me. She's speaking directly to me. Okay? And that, then they're going to pay more attention. They're going to have a connection with you. And pretty soon we have this magical thing called rapport. That's what it is. And suddenly we have rapport. Do you think rapport is an important element of persuasion? Absolutely. Okay. Now, okay, I have only a few minutes left, right? I have 7 minutes. Okay. Once we've got rapport going with people, then another crucial element of persuasion is the fact that individuals need to make the decision themselves to go to the final step. They need, I call it owning the information. They need to decide that, yes, this is a choice I am making, not because somebody stood up there and they forced it into me, but instead I stepped forward and said, okay, I'm going to take that information and I'm going to make it my own, and I'm going to be willing to fight for this when I go into the deliberation room. I'm going to be willing to stand up for this and to give the reasons why and persuade my fellow jurors, if need be, of the importance of this element. Now, how do we do that? How do we do that? Goes back to this idea at the beginning where I said, what is it that you want them to carry into the deliberation room? What is it that you want them to say to each other? How do you want them to describe you, your client, your case in that deliberation room? The next thing you say after that is, once you decide what you want them to say, is what is the final conclusion they need to come to before that? What's that final conclusion that they need to come to? And I'm not saying not guilty. That's a goal. But what's the conclusion that they need to come to in order to say not guilty? What is that final conclusion? Now that's going to be different for everybody. Is it, Jim wasn't there. He couldn't have been there. There is absolutely no way that he could have been there. Or is it, I've looked at Jim. This guy is not a rapist. He is not. I cannot believe that this guy is a rapist. Is it, Marilyn Miller? Marilyn Miller is a lying bitch. What is it? You need to decide exactly what that decision is, because everything gets focused. Now, do you ever necessarily say those things directly to, other than, of course, your client and this and you could have been there, but do you ever say, you have got to believe this? You've got to create all the reasons for them to say, to come to that conclusion. Everything leading up to that has got to be so crystal clear. You cannot force that decision down their throats. You need to lead them down the path with absolute detail, very specific detail and clarity, so that they get down to the end and they say, oh, you know what? It just dawned on me. He couldn't have been there. So they're so convinced. It's that kind of clarity, all right? Now it takes, in order for you to be willing to do that, you've got to work through those details. That's why this word preparation is important, but the kind of preparation that you do is not just, gee, I've written out it, and I've got it here now, and I'm going to read this to everybody, and I've managed to put together some similes, and I've got a couple of analogies, and bring on. Doesn't work that way. It's got to be these individuals, these people, speak to these individuals. If you had your mother on the jury, what would she need to hear? If Aunt Mona was on the jury, what does she need to hear? If your child is on the jury, what does he need to hear? It's that specific. Okay, you need to decide those things. And in order to be that specific, you have to trust yourself. You've got to trust the fact that you can do this. That you can persuade people. That you have it within your knowledge and your ability to be able to take the moments one step at a time and to make this happen. That you have it within your ability to make eye contact with people. You've all persuaded somebody somewhere along the line in your life. You probably all persuaded somebody all the way along every single day in your life. But if you become other people conscious and pay attention to their needs, what do they need in order to come to the conclusion that you need them to come to? What do you need? Okay? Thank you.